Hey guys, how's it going? So today I want to do something a little different, like a long form tutorial teaching something pretty intermediate to advanced. Like I was talking about in the podcast with Heartbeast, there's not a lot of intermediate or advanced tutorials labeled as such. So I wanted to kind of start bringing some of that forward. This is about plugging scriptable objects into like an easy to manage AI state machine for all your AI in your games. It's a pretty interesting way to do things. It's kind of intermediate. I'm trying to go over a lot of it as I can. If you enjoy it, please make sure to leave a like, subscribe. Any support, comments are great. And if you want the full project, to work along with me, it'll be in my Patreon. I'll try to upload the other project to another file site that doesn't look like a virus. So yeah, I'll upload the unfinished one if I can. The assets I used are in the description below. And yeah, thank you guys so much, and I hope you enjoy it. All right, so today we're going to work on making a scriptable object, like pluggable state machine, really easy to use for enemy AI, especially ones that like patrol. You can really do it in any kind of situation where an AI needs to change states fast and pretty relatively easy based on some predetermined decisions that you create. It's really easy to expand and create more and go beyond it. And it basically just uses like a decision tree where you have an action that's being done in the state and then a decision to be like choose whether I go in the next state or stay in the same state or whatever. And you can have multiple decisions on whether to like change states or anything like that. So without further ado, I guess we'll just begin. So first things first, I think what we're going to need to do is we're going to create kind of one scriptable object that kind of holds all of the values that we're going to use for this, like some of the values for the enemy. So I'm going to create a scriptable objects folder really quick, and from there, a scripts folder. It's always good to stay as organized as you can. And so in the scripts folder, I'm going to create one I call enemy stats. All right. So this is a scriptable object. And this is just going to be a container for a lot of the values we're using. And so we're going to have a public float for walk speed. We're going to have a public float for run speed. We can have a public float for attack rate. Public int for damage. Public int for search duration or search time. Basically the amount of time it's going to search for someone. Public int, what is that, microphone is in the way. Searching turn speed. All right, so it's going to rotate certain speed. I think that's all the variables we need here. That's fine. And so next we're going to work on creating the state controller. But before that, as always, I always forget this. With scriptable objects, you have to create an asset menu so you can create them. You don't have to, but this is the easy way to create them. Otherwise, you have to do you don't need it. It's create instance or whatever, and it's just kind of a big pain. This way, you can just pop it right into your folder. So I'm going to call this enemy stats. Pretty simple. All right, and so now since I did that, easy to go. I'm going to go back one into just my main folder here. Oh, it didn't show up because. Do I have an error or something here? Do I have an error? No, so why aren't you showing up? Okay, let's see what's wrong with this. Create asset menu. Nothing is wrong, and so maybe it just needed to recompile. No. Menu name, enemy stats. What if I do like AI/enemy stats? See if that changes anything. Okay, yeah, so it just wasn't working like that. No problem. So let's go back to enemy stats because I don't want to. I guess it could be for AI. I just want to minimize the amount of menus we have to go through. All right, so we have enemy stats. I'm going to set the walk speed to like 1.5, run speed to 3. Attack rate to 1.5, damage to 34 because we have 100 health. I want 3 shots to kill you. this is just, you can set it whatever you want. This is just for this little test here. So these are the values I'm going with. So now let's move on to the state machine, which is basically all based on scriptable objects and plugging in scriptable objects. So I'm going to create another folder inside of the scriptable objects that I call state machine. All right. In here, we're going to have the basic state controller, which is the only mono behavior that we're going to be using. It's going to be attached to the enemy, and it's going to be what's used to like swap states, as opposed to just using the scriptable object, which holds the values the entire time, kind of saves the values. This state controller will take the temporary value. It will make those values pretty temporary and case by case basis. If you had 100 AIs, they could all have their own state controller and be taking the same kind of commands but have their own preset values. So it's really, really cool that the way that this is using scriptable objects, and it's really usable. I don't know what the hell what's going on here, but okay. All right, so state controller is gonna be a mono behavior. We're gonna have to declare some variables. So let's see, what do we need? We need public enemy stats, which is what we just created. We're gonna enemy stats. All right, that's good. All right, and now we're going to do we're gonna start hiding some stuff in the inspector. So this is actually a really good tool, hide an inspector. You can make a public field and it just won't show up to be able to be edited. It's pretty cool. So we're gonna do Nav Mesh Agent, and we need to actually add Unity Engine.ui, AI, I mean. All right, and then I'm just gonna copy paste it. We're gonna do a shoot script, which I've included. If you want to download it in the description below, you can also find the entire project completed on my Patreon. Let me show you the shoot script really quick. If I haven't included it, you can get it on my Patreon. Otherwise, you can just look at it right here. Let's see. Where am I? Not this. This is the one I didn't practice here. All right. And this is the one that we're in right now. Okay, so let's go to shoot script. Not complicated. Shoot player takes in damage, and a health script, which I've also created. Is very straightforward. Health is 100. Update, if he's dead, he's dead. And basically, to die in this, I'm just going to make you stop moving and print you dead. And deal damage is if the health is greater than 0, then take the damage that you do, which is done here. Deal damage to the health. Simple. Very straightforward. Not a big deal. All right. And so then from here on, we're going to do a list transform for the waypoints. And these are going to be the waypoints the AI can go to. And so the way I'm going to do this in this mode is, yeah, I'll show you, because this is good for if you have multiple AIs. I'm going to do it through a game manager. Like, if you only have one AI, you can literally just pop the waypoints on. Like, don't hide an inspector. Pop the waypoints on the specific state controller you're using. But the point of this state controller is supposed to be able to be expanded as much as you really want. And so that's what I'm going to do here, is just be able to have it expanded and assign the waypoints through the game manager. So we have the int. We're going to create an int for the next waypoint. And from there, we are going to create a target, transform for the target. Oh. And then also, can't forget this, a vector3 for the last known target position. And this is going to be important for when the AI is chasing the target but loses sight of him. You don't want him to just follow even though he loses sight. You want him to go to like a certain position and kind of stop. Otherwise, that kind of makes it way too difficult if he's just following you everywhere. All right, and then I'm going to make a private bool is active. Kind of just hold the activity of the state controller in, I don't know, whatever. You get it. It's if it's active, it's on, it's true, and if it's not, it's false. Okay, and so in awake, we're going to cache the agent and kind of activate it. So get component Nav Mesh Agent, which will be the agent on the specific enemy. Each of these enemies will have their own state controller. And then we'll also do the shoot script as well. So they'll each have a shoot script as well. All right, and then from here, we're also going to create a public method that we can call from the game manager. So public void initialize. How do I spell that? AI. All right. And that's going to take a bool of like activate and a list of transforms, which are the waypoint list. Basically, we're going to pass the waypoints through the game manager to this. basically all you have to do is waypoints are equal to the waypoint list. Then is active is equal to activate, and you can do agent. You want to enable the Nav Mesh Agent, so agent.enabled is equal to either activate or is active. I'm just using is active because why not just use what we got here. I keep the web going here. So, and if you see me clicking over here, I'm not good at like coming up with it, like remembering every little thing, and there's going to be so many bugs. So I just decided to create a PowerPoint that kind of is like telling me where to go next. So now we're going to the game manager here. We're going to create a game manager that will populate the waypoint list and activate the AI. So just in my normal scripts folder, I mean, you could even, I guess we could go even further and create a managers folder if we wanted to here. Create a script, call it game manager. All right. Create an empty object here as well. Call it game manager. That will always be in the scene. Pop the script on it, and we will open it up. And basically the game manager will just have a public list of transform, and we'll call it waypoints. So that's where we're going to pass them from. And then a private, what's it called? State controller array of controllers. And I'm not going to do the underscore. I mean, I could do the underscore. All right, let's just do it. I'm OCD about it. So the reason I'm doing this private state controller array, because I'm going to do something you're not supposed to do. And I'm going to find all objects of type state controller. But if you're really making a game and you had like some pretty good architecture, you would create like probably a enemy manager or something like that, like a singleton that you could access all the enemies from without taking all the resources of finding everything in the scene. But since this is just kind of a demo, not a big deal. So I'm in start. I'm going to first of all, I'm going to set the controllers equal to find objects of type state controller, right? So I'm going to find all the state controllers, pop them in this controller array, and then for each, you can do var, and it just sets it. So for each controller in controllers, then we're going to do controller dot initialize AI. We're going to pass in true at the start, and then we're going to pass in the waypoints as the waypoint list. So that will basically start everything we need to start for the. So basically, this is initializing the AI at the beginning of the game. That's all it is doing. It's not a big deal. Very simple. We have it on there. We need to set the waypoint list. For me, I created these waypoints. If you have my file, you'll see them. If you don't see like these little what are those called, like labels? What you can do is you can go to basically make sure that they all have the gizmo on here, whatever kind of gizmo you want. And then in gizmos here, let's see, I got to make this bigger. Gizmos, you just change the size of the 3D icons to be whatever size you want. I like this, so I can see it from far away. It's good. And so you see I have my waypoints. The AI is going to go between those now since we popped them on the game manager. Oh, we didn't yet. Lock it. Select them all. Oh, lock it, select them all. Pop them in there. We got the waypoint 1, 2, 3. Simple. Done. I think we're done with the game manager for this entire tutorial. Let's move on to the state machine here. So we have the state controller. And the way the state controller will work is there's going to be a state which calls an action. So it's doing the action until the decision is made to switch states. Simple stuff here. So let's create an actions folder. And in there, we'll create a scripts folder. Okay. And then create a new C# script, and we'll just call it action. The interesting thing about this state machine is it uses something called abstract classes. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a public abstract class. I'll explain what that is in a second. Scriptable object. So it's a scriptable object, and it will have an abstract method. So an abstract class. Let me just finish typing here. So abstract void act, which will take in a state controller and a controller. So the thing about abstract classes is, you see how I didn't have to define the method there? You can basically, you create this base class where you don't define anything about the method. But the only thing is any classes who inherit from it have to define the method. They're forced to. With virtual void, public virtual void, you can override things as well, but you're not forced to implement the method. The abstract method you have to implement in any classes that come underneath it. And so the reason I'm passing this act to the state controller is for the same reason I said before, where all of the specifics are handled on the controller. That way, the trouble of scriptable objects saving them, all the details and everything, is limited to just that controller. It passes right through it. Very good. And so that's all we have to do for the action class. Now beyond that, we're going to create a specific action. So what we want to do is first we want this guy to walk through between the waypoints. You see, and so to do that, first of all, we have a Nav Mesh Agent on him. And so this Nav Mesh Agent is basically going to, you know, everyone knows what a Nav Mesh Agent is, but and make sure before you have the Nav Mesh Agent going on here, you want to make sure that you have your navigation, whatever, your nav mesh baked. So it looks like, so it detects all the obstacles. I'm sure you guys know what's going on, so I'm not going to go over that, but basically you have to make sure everything's static and then bake it, and that way the Nav Mesh Agent knows that it can't walk through walls and stuff like that. So first action we're going to do is create a patrol action. And so first you start out with script. We got to start off with a script. So let's do patrol action. All right. And then as that opens, it's going to inherit from action, right? And then you see how we got a red line under there? That's because of our abstract method here. Our abstract method we have to override is called act. And so now we're going to basically, we can put whatever we want here, like debug.log patrolling, you know, something like that, and it would show up as we call it. If we call it in the update function, it would do it like a million times. It would say it, but what we want to do is we're going to create another method just so it's cleaner, called patrol, which will take a state controller. And basically with patrol, what we want to do is we want to take the agent from the controller and set the destination. Set the destination to the controller dot waypoint list waypoints, and then we'll do the controller dot next waypoint. And so what this is doing, and then dot position because it's transformed. And so what this is doing is it's setting the waypoint from the waypoint list that we populated, and using the int that we have, the next waypoint in the position. And then so it's just stopping at this one right now. So what we got to do is first, in order to get the agent to actually start moving, you got to do controller agent.resume, which kind of resets it on and off and lets it go to the next point. And so to cycle through the waypoints, we have to do a little bit of math. So what we're going to do is if controller.agent.remaining distance is less than or equal to the stopping distance, agent.stopping distance. So if it's at its destination, and controller.agent.path pending, not path pending. So if it's at its destination and it's not already creating a new path, then what we want to do is we want to take the waypoint list, right? So we take the next waypoint int. We want to set it equal to controller.next waypoint plus 1. So you think that would be good. But if it goes up beyond like this right now, it could go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We only have 3 waypoints. So what we want to do is we're going to use the modulo operator, which kind of takes the remainder, and we're going to do controller.waypoints.count. So now you see it won't go beyond the count, because every time, let's say it gets to 3, it'll go back to 0. Every time when it goes to 1, it'll go to 2, 3. Like it just keeps going. So anytime it goes to 3, it'll go back to 0, and we'll be able to go through all our waypoints with no issues whatsoever. So this, I think, is basically it. So all we have to do is call it in the act function. So patrol controller. So that's why we oh shoot, I almost deleted it all. Patrol controller. And so that takes this patrol method with this controller and just does all this. Very simple. One thing you have to do with every kind of state, action, whatever you have to do in this state machine is you have to create an asset menu. And this one's going to be menu name. We just keep it organized. So we'll do AI / we could do actions / patrol, right? So now we're going through this whole thing. We have our patrol action, and it's ready to be made in the inspector. So let's go make that here in the Unity editor, whatever you call it. We have our actions patrol. Now we just type. Now we have our patrol action. Very simple, very easy. So, but it's useless right now because we have no states, right? So what we got to do is go to here. We're going back a little bit. We're going to create a folder. We're going to call it states. So the good thing about states is they only have one specific, like you only need one script for your states. Let's go to scripts. Let's make a scripts. And a state will be also, it will also be, state will also be a scriptable object. But the good thing is state holds all, it's basically just all the same information for each state. It's just kind of updating the state, checking what's going on. So we're going to make this a scriptable object. And let's see, what do we need? We need to tell it what to do. We're going to get an action array of actions. We're going to create a color to draw for on draw gizmos. We're going to call it gizmo color, and we'll set it equal to, what's a good default color that we're never going to use? We'll say blue. If it's not active, we're doing blue. If we're in the wrong state, we're in blue. Now we know. So now it's not a big deal. And so then we're going to have to create a function that's telling it to execute the actions. So we'll do execute actions. We'll do state controller. Everything takes in a state controller when it's with this. All right, state controller, controller. And so basically what we want it to do is to take all these actions. So for each action in actions, we're going to cycle through all the actions we have. We're literally just going to do action.act, which is this, right? Action.act. And you take in and you just put in the controller, right? So it's just passing everything through this huge machine. And so this isn't getting called at all, right? And so what we need to do for the state is we're going to create a public method, public void update state. So this can be called from the controller. We're going to do state controller, controller. This can be called from the controller to update the state every frame. So we're going to do execute actions. We're going to pop in controller. And that's that. That should be good for this script for now. Oh, one more thing. We're going to create an asset menu for this, and it will be menu name. We'll just say AI/state. That should be good. Be good. Let's see. Let's just check. Sure, it's all good. AI state. Perfect. Okay. And then we will go here. Let's create a patrol state. So let's call it patrol. And in action, see, we have the actions. We have the blue gizmo. We're going to set the action to patrol action. We have the action in there. Let's set the color to green. Okay, so now we know for patrolling, we're going to be green. Well, we don't have the gizmo set up yet, but when we get the gizmo set up, we'll do it. No problem. And so now we will go to the state, go back to the state controller, and we'll be able to implement that update state function. So let's go to here. We'll do update. And so basically we'll check if we're not active, then we'll just return. Right? But if we are active, then we'll do current state, but we need to create a current state variable, right? So let's do public state, current state. All right. And then we'll do current state dot update state, and then this is the controller that we're passing. So that's very simple, very easy. And then next up, we'll also create an on draw gizmo so we can see what's going on with the state. So with that, we'll set the gizmos color, gizmos.color equal to, well, first we need to make sure we have a state, right? So if current state is not equal to null, nint. If current state is not equal to null, then we'll do gizmos.color equal to current state.gizmo color, right? That's what we set. Then we're also going to, of course, we're going to draw a wire sphere around transform.position, so our character's position. And like, I mean, this is 1.5 f, gonna be like 1.5 units, like big sphere around the person. So let's see what's going on here. Right now there's nothing because we need to, first of all, add the state machine, state controller. And we'll take the enemy stats, which we have right here, and this current state, which we have patrol. And that should be good. And then let's see if it draws it on the inspector. Yep. So actually it's down too low. So let's make another object here. Oh, I have one here. It's called eyes. Let's just put that in there. Public. A lot of this is from a tutorial about this. I've changed it a little bit, but mostly guys got it on Pluggable AI from Unity. So if you want to go see the guy in action, we'll do that. And so now we have the eyes object. We'll do eyes.position. So that will draw it a little bit higher, I'm sure. Okay, yeah, there we go. So now we can easily see what state this guy's in. And now he's in the patrol state. So that's good because the current state is the patrol state. Very simple, very easy. And so next we're going to have to figure out how to basically transition out of this state into the next state, right? So there's decisions that we have to make in order to get out of the patrol state. But before we can even do that, we have to do a similar thing. We'll go make a folder called decisions. And we will create a folder called scripts. So we got a lot of scripts folders in here, but keeps it organized. We're going to create a new script called decision. And that will be, once it opens, okay, that's another scriptable object. It's going to be an abstract class just like action was. And it's going to have an abstract method as well. So public abstract. This one's going to return a bool, so either true or false, right? It's going to be called decide. We're going to take in a state controller and call it controller. Very simple. I love abstract methods now ever since I've done this. I'm doing this for about a couple of weeks also. So it's pretty nice, a pretty cool way to do things. We have that, decide, okay. And so next we will create, oh, okay, actually this is, so here I have these field of view scripts. This is how I'm detecting like where the player is. It's a pretty cool script by Sebastian Lague, if you can see. The view radius, you can see how big this is. And like we can change the angle, his field of view. I think it's really cool because I was using raycast before, but this really makes it simpler. It also detects for obstacles and lets you set the target. So here I think I already set the player as the target. So I'm going to create some layers, I guess. Create a target and an obstacle layer. So basically the thing about the script is it'll detect your target, and if your target's behind an obstacle, it won't detect it. And so I've set everything except for the floor as on the obstacle layer. So if you want to do that, you go ahead and I'll show you the script really quick. And otherwise, you can check the link in the description for Sebastian's link for Sebastian's video. Basically, it gets the view radius and an angle, which is what we're setting. Takes the layer mask of the targets and obstacles, and it does this crazy math to find the direction from the angle to kind of create the circle that we're seeing in the inspector, and but it doesn't create that circle. That's a different script completely. Then it finds the targets, so it's basically in that whole circle. It'll find every target there. Then, if there is a target in the radius, it will go to that target and it'll say, okay, is it behind an obstacle? It'll shoot a raycast at an obstacle. If there's if there's an obstacle in the way, it won't detect the target. Otherwise, the target is visible to us. Very complicated. I'm doing it in the fixed update method because I want it to do every frame, because I want it to be very reactive. The way Sebastian does it is he gives it a time offset of like 0.2. That might be better. But here I'm doing it there, and then there's also this very complicated editor script that I basically just took from him completely. But it'll let you edit it in the editor. You'll see it. This whole circle is done by this editor script. And so if you want any of those scripts, check out Sebastian's video, or also on my Patreon. The entire project will be on there. So that is that. We have, did I set the layers here? Yes, the target and obstacle. That should work. All right, so now let's create a decision based on this field of view, right? We'll go here, we'll go to script state machine. We have decisions. So we're going to create our own new decision. We'll call it look decision. All right. And that will become a decision, right? So with that, we have to implement the abstract method. So let's go, Alt-Enter is really easy to do that. So that overrides, that throws a bool, whatever. And so let's just create another one called private bool look. It'll take in a state controller, and we will do, first we're going to find our field of view script. So that's how we're going to basically look for everything. So field of view, FOV is equal to controller.getComponent field of view, right? We're getting our field of view. If field of view is equal to null, and we'll return, right? Very simple. We don't want to do anything if we don't have a field of view. oh, we'll return false, right? Because it's this kind of method here. It's a bool. We return false. Otherwise, we're going to check if field of view has a visible target. If it's not equal to null. And then also, I mean, of course it is true in this scenario, but also if the visible target is a player, which for me, I'm not doing compare tag, I'm just going to check if it has a player movement script. Right? Very simple, very easy. All right, and so if it is a player and it does have the script, right, then we're going to, well, I think we'll just return, oh, yeah, we can do controller. So we're going to set the target, we're going to set the controller target equal to the field of view visible target. So our controller target is now this visible target, and then we'll return true, right? So we're done with this. Otherwise, if we don't see anyone, right, we're going to return false. That's it. And so now all we have to do is return look controller, right? That easy. So we're returning this and seeing if, okay, if it's true or false. Very simple, very easy. I'm almost forgetting this every time. So one way that I can do this very quick, you have to keep typing things, is go copy that, create asset menu, decisions, and then call this look, right? And so now we have the look decision. I think everything is good here. Should be good. All right, and let's move on to the next one here. So let's create the decision in here, right? So we can get this done. Create actions. Nope, we don't have it on here yet. See why not? Let's see why not here. Where's decision? Where's look decision? All right, so we have create asset menu look decisions. Should show up. There's no reason it's not, just some kind of a bug. So let's just call it looks. If that changes anything. Create AI decisions looks. Well, let's just change it back to look now. So it's bugging out a little bit, but should work. Create AI decisions look. All right, call this look decision. All right, so now we have the look decision. And so what we can do is go to this state right here. And so we don't have a place for it yet. So we'll make that in a second, but let's make another state. We'll have this called remain in state. And so what this is going to do, let's make this blue. That blue is a little harsh. Let's do like this blue. But what it's going to do is basically, it's going to be like a placeholder for this. If the decision is false, we're going to pop in remain in state. You'll see it in a second. And so now in the controller, right? So let's go back to the state controller. A lot of hipping and hopping back and forth. What we want to do is basically create a transition to state, right? So now it will never transition to state unless we tell it to. And so we could set the current state in the, I guess, in one of the scriptable objects, but this is a better way to keep it away from everything, right? Keep everything in the state controller. That's the rule. So public void transition to state. It's going to take in a state. And it's going to be called, we can just call it next state, right? And so the good thing is, the reason we made that remain in state is so we wouldn't constantly be flipping and flopping states. So now we'll create another variable called remain state, right? Just to hold that remain state. So if our current state is not equal to remain state, right, then we will do, right, I think that's it, yeah. No, if our next state is not equal to remain state, so we won't switch to remain state, it's just there to kind of place hold and not have a null value in there. Our next state is not equal to remain state, and our current state is equal to next state. So that's very simple. Whatever state we pass through, will pop into that state. So we'll go into that state. Should be good. State, state, state. All right. And so now for these decisions, we could just pop a decision array on here, but that wouldn't do anything, right? Because we could bet decision array and then put different states, true or false states. There's a good way you can use constructors on this. I'm sure we're using a lot of things here. So we're going to go back to state machine here. We're going to create another script. We're going to call it transition, right? And so now we can create a constructor that holds basically, so a constructor or whatever, a struct, I guess you can call it, or whatever, doesn't have mono behavior. So all we're holding is more data. So we're going to take a decision. We're going to take our true state, so state, true state, and then our state, false state. because with every decision you're going to have either a true state or a false state. So this is a good clean way to get it done. And then don't forget to call it system.serializable, right? So that allows you to edit it in the inspector. So from there, now we can go to our state, add a little extra thing here. We'll call add a transition. So public transition array. Oh, transition array transitions. And so now we have, if you see in here, let's go to our states. Oh, that was my phone. Now we have transitions here. And so if we add a transition, we have a decision we can use, a true state, and a false state. Very simple, very easy. Very nothing crazy, all right? And so we can do this. We can take our look decision. We can take our true state. We'll do whatever. We don't have another decision yet, but our false state, we can do remain in state. And so basically, make sure we set remain state here. Otherwise, it's going to go crazy. That's what we make sure you set all these variables that you get in the inspector correctly. Otherwise, everything's going to go bad. And so, okay, we have it set in the inspector. And so what we need to do is be able to switch out of this state to the next state. We need to be able to check for transitions, right? And so in the state machine, see how we're already updating the state every frame. We need to update to see if basically our decisions are being met. So let's do private void check for transitions, right? Call state controller. Okay, and then so now we have transitions, right? So for each of our transition in transitions, for every transition we have, first we're going to set a bool of decision, right? We're going to decide, which is going to be set to transition dot decision dot decide, right? So that's what we have, returning a bool. We're going to pass in the controller that we have. And so this is going to either tell us if we're going to the true state or the false state. And so if decision is true, if decision, then we will do transition. We can even just do one line, I think. Transition dot true state dot transition dot what is it? Where did we get transition? Just controller. That's what it is. Controller dot transition to state. And then we just put transition dot true state, right? So if we're going to the controller, we're getting the transition to state function, and we're passing in the true state. Otherwise, if it's false, we'll just go to controller dot transition to state, and we'll put in the transition false state. And remember, if that state is remain state, it won't switch. It'll just stay in the same one. That's what's so good. So we just don't forget that we got to pop it in the update function. Okay, so this is called every frame, like we're supposed to do. No problem here. And that should be that. And so now we have our ability to check for transitions. I'm going to go back and forth. And so now what we need is another state. And for that, we need another action, right? So let's create another action. We're just going to go, if it sees the person, it's going to chase them, right? So let's do chase action. Okay, simple. Chase action is going to be just like the patrol action. It derives from action. We need to implement the abstract class, abstract method. All right, and we'll do private void chase, which will take in a state controller. Or can you just type in controller? Nope. I mean, you can, but it's so far on the list. Let's just type in state controller. All right. And so for this chase one, basically, we're going to get the field of view because we want the target, right? So we're going to do controller get component field of view. Okay, so now if we're going to always check if it's null. There's no reason to really for this demo because it's never going to be null, but it's good practice to do null checks. I don't think I've done it for some of the stuff, but if it's null, return, so we know. You could even do like an error, debug.log error, or whatever you want. So if it's not null, then we will do controller.agent. What is it? Let's see. No. Okay, so now we'll do if we have a target, right? If we have an active target. So if of visible target is not equal to null. So if we have an active target, we're going to set our controller dot what is that called? Agent dot destination to our controller dot target, right? Which is the visible target dot position. And then we're going to set our controller dot last known position, which is what we set before, equal to controller dot target dot position. so we can always keep track of the last place that the guy saw us. And then we'll run controller.agent.resume. So right now, okay, before we go, we want to make sure everything's working, and I'm not very good at testing things, I just forget. So we're gonna see if everything's broken right now. Okay, no, so the guy's going to his waypoints. I mean, he's not gonna see us yet, but he is going to his waypoints that we set. You check his state, it's patrol state. Going back and forth, going crazy, going good. Everything's going good. Okay, so yeah, sorry, I needed to test. I forgot to test. All right, so if we have a visible target, we're going to basically go to that target. If we don't, we're going to set the agent destination to the last known position instead of the target's position, so it doesn't just chase you down even if he can't see you. He'll just go to where he last saw you and then resume, right? So that's really that. I think that's it. And then oh yeah, we got to do this, so we have to set it here. So chase controller simple, and then create asset menu. So I'm sick of it, sick of creating the asset menu. So I'm gonna go here, here, up here. I'll call it what's it called? This one called chase. All right, chases. It was breaking before. I gotta check to see if it comes up, and then we'll go to the next one. So create AI actions chases. Okay, now we'll do chase just to make it good. Good. We have all the logic of the chase action in there. Action chase. We'll call it chase action. And the reason I do the action after is to make it like really easy to see what you're working on. Is it an action? Is it whatever? You know? So chase action. For decision, we have look decision, you see. But states, I don't really put state after because I don't know. I could say patrol state. It really doesn't make a difference to me whether I put it or not. But yeah, it should if I'm being consistent. Let's create a chase state. All right. And so the chase state will take a chase action. And let's make it red so we know we're chasing and not blue. That awful blue was ridiculous. It was a bad choice to pick that. And then the decision will be a look decision. In the true state, if we see someone, we're going to remain in state. Otherwise, we're going to do something else which we haven't created yet. But for patrol, we can add the chase state. And now, if we see someone, we're going to chase them. And if we still see them, we're going to keep chasing them. So let's see if that works. And it's also going to turn, the gizmo is going to turn red on here. So let's see if that does happen. We should follow this guy instead, but let's see if we can get in front of him. Yep, so it turned red. Let's zoom out a little bit. So he has no state right now because it went to null, right? So what we could do is to test it. Just to test it, we could do remain in state both ways, or just get rid of the entire transition. But just to test it, let's see. Let's go find this guy. Look at him. Get a better view of the map here. All right. And I will show you the magic. Oh, he's looking the other way now. Didn't see me in his little dome here. There he goes. So now he's going to chase me. But if he doesn't see me here, he stopped. He went to my last known position with the stopping distance and just stopped. But if he sees me again, now he doesn't see me again. See, I made him a little stupid. So what we could do, if we want to, is take this field of view, do that, make it bigger, so he can see me, you know, pretty easily. That might be really hard actually if he does that, so that's fine. I mean, it's not a real game where he's gonna destroy me anyway. So if you look into that bubble here, if I step into that square, boom, he got me. See the red little laser? He's got me. So I'm walking through the inspector, but here, if I get back in there, he sees me, but now he doesn't see me because I'm behind the obstacle. That's the cool thing about this field of view script. And now he sees me, He's got such a big field of view now. He's impossible to run away from. But yeah, so that's cool that we got that going. Let us continue. Okay, that's what I want to do next. Cool. Let's make this a little smaller. That's a little scary here. You can see me from miles away. He's gonna keep chasing me. So what we're gonna do now is, I'm kind of sick of these guys just like sliding around. I have an animate character script that I created. You can see it. Basically, I have some bools for is running, is walking, animate run, animate walk. So for our character, he's always running. But for the AI, I want them to walk when they're patrolling and run when they're attacking. And so what we're going to do is we're going to create a little enemy script that talks to this animate character script. Is also on the enemy, should be, yeah. We're going to create an enemy script that basically tells it when to walk and when to run. Very simple, very easy. Pop it in here. Let's create, oh, this is a mono behavior. Nothing to do with the state machine. This is all just polish here, but enemy. All right, we're going to do a, okay. All right, so we need public animate character. We'll call it animate. Public Nav Mesh Agent to get the speed and everything. Call it agent. Oh, we need Unity Engine.ai in here. No problem. Oh, okay. And so what I'm going to do is to track his states is I'm going to create an enum. Public enum current state. This is just a good way to track things. And so that you can just literally just type in, okay, I want patrol state, attack state. Very simple. And then after that, you can just call public current state, create your own current state here. So now in the inspector, it'll show like a little drop down. Is he in patrol state? Is he in attack state? Very simple, very easy. All right, and then so in awake, we're going to initialize animate, which is get component, what is it? Animate character. All right, and then agent is equal to the Nav Mesh Agent. So that's that. There we go. The enemy will have a Nav Mesh Agent and an agent. And basically, we want to just check to see if we are moving, what state we're in, and then we're going to set the bool. So basically, let's see. If we're going to check the absolute value. Okay, math f abs of the agent dot velocity, right? Dot x or z. We're not moving up. We're not jumping, but if he's moving X or Z, then we want to go. So if the absolute value is greater than like 0.2 F, so we give him a little bit of leeway to like slow down or something where he's not moving, but or same thing, but with the Z axis, right? So it's if math F abs Z is greater than 2F. So either way, if he's moving, we're basically just going to trigger the movement. So, and then we also want to check, okay, if current state is equal to current state dot attack. Okay, so if he's attacking, what do we say? He's going to run, right? So we're going to do animate dot animate run, and we'll set that to true. All right, we can actually get rid of these. I don't like the curly braces if I don't need them. Sometimes you need them. Sometimes you don't. Right now is I think a time you don't. Else, so or no, else if current state is equal to current state dot control. We'll do animate dot animate walk. Oh. So either way, if he's moving, he's going to be doing one or the other. If he's attacking, he's going to be running. If he's patrolling, he's going to be walking. But if he's not moving, so else out here, then animate run or animate walk, it doesn't matter. So animate dot animate run is equal to false, because if it's setting walk to false already, and then it's going to set run to false, so both of them are going to be false. Should be good, should work completely fine, should be good. Yeah, so we're going to want to pop this script onto the enemy. So we'll just pop an enemy script on him. Should automatically get the what's it called, animate character and the Nav Mesh Agent. And then you see this is the enum. It shows you patrol or attack. That's cool. I love enums. They're my favorite thing here. You can have a favorite thing. They're my favorite thing. So now we're just going to put some logic into the patrol action and the base action to see if he's moving to get him going. So we're going to do enemy is equal to controller. I'll get component enemy. You could do another null check if you want. Yeah, I mean, you could. I'm not going to do it. So enemy.current state is equal to current state.patrol. So it's that simple. Like we can set it to patrol, and then we can also set the controller.speed, because we created the walk speed and the run speed, right? So controller.agent.speed is equal to controller.animate enemy stats, that thing we created earlier, walk speed, right? So when he's patrolling, he's going to be walking, animation, and walking speed as well. So that's good. I think that's that. And then for the chase action, we can do kind of the same thing here. Oh, let me just copy it. I'm going to copy it. You don't have to copy it. You can type it again if you want. It's basically, let's see. Oop. We set the enemy, cache the enemy. We set the current state to attack. And then we set the speed to run speed. And that is that. Simple stuff here. All right. And then, okay, let's see. So now we're going to set everything up to add kind of a way for him to attack. So right now, if we see here, let's see if it's working. He's going to be walking super slow until we walk into that field of view. And then he's running at us, right? He's still kind of running slow, huh? What's his speed? Speed is 3. Maybe we should set his speed to like 5. Let's set his speed to 5. So in that, we can actually go to the reason we made it a scriptable object. We can go to this scriptable object and set it to 5. Set this to 2 or something like that. It seemed a little slow for me, huh? Let's see again. He's walking, he's kind of floating, but that's fine. Now he's running. Looks a little better. He's not running as fast as me though. He's got nothing on me, so that's good. All right, so we got all that. So now we're gonna set up the state controller to get ready to add another action where we can attack. And so what we need for that is we're going to create a, not these, but a bool, which will just be known as the state bool variable. So you can really assign any bool in the state to this if you want. This is just literally state controller specific. So if you have a lot of things that you need to make decisions on, this will be able to do it. For this purpose, I'm doing it to reset a timer. And then we're going to do a float, which will be, I guess, state time elapsed. All right, and so this will be basically how we count down on each state controller. Okay, and so for that, we're going to create a, let's see, public bool, which will check as time elapsed. And that will take in a float, which is the duration of the timer. Right, and so we can always continually check if the time has elapsed per state. So first we're going to take the state time elapsed. It's just like any other timer you have. We're going to plus it by time.delta time. Okay, so we're going to check, we're going to add it, and then we're going to say if state time elapsed is greater than or equal to duration, then we're going to set state time elapsed equal to 0, right? And then we're going to return true. So yes, the time has elapsed. Otherwise, we're going to just return false. I think that's simple, right? Simple as that, right? And then in order to not have this like not reset when we switch states, we're going to add another function here. So we're going to call private void on exit state, and we're just going to reset our variables. So we have the state bool variable. Oh. We're going to set that to false. We're going to set the state time elapsed to 0. And so we'll just call that every time we switch states on exit state. And so every time we switch states, everything's going to be set back to 0 on this guy. And so all that we can just reuse the timers, no problem. Should be very simple, and it is very simple as far as I've gotten into it. So now we will create another action. So we have the chase action, we have the patrol action. We're going to create an attack action. We're going to state machine actions scripts, create an action, we'll call it attack action. All right. And just like the other ones, it's an action. So we have to implement the act method, right? We'll do a private void attack, take in a state controller, and we will do, for the attack, it's pretty complicated. So we do the field of view, FOV is equal to controller.getComponent field of view, right? Now we have the FOV, and we can always do the null check. I'm not going to do it this time. I mean, I'll do it. If FOV is equal to null, then we just will return. I mean, if all of these are null, they're just returning all the time. But they're not null this time, so that's good. All right, so now we're going to reset the timer first that we made. So if controller state bool variable is equal to false, or if it is equal to false, which it is, because every time you change states, it will be set to false, right? Then we'll set the state time elapsed, which is also equal to 0. Set the state time elapsed equal to the controller dot enemy stats dot attack rate. So as soon as it switches into the state, it's going to attack at least one time, right? Then we're going to set the bool variable to false, so it doesn't do this a million times. It doesn't just attack us 1,000 like a machine gun, or equal to true. So it's true. And as long as it's in this attack state, it will always be true. Then if you switch out and it finds you again, it's going to be able to attack you again. So no problem like that. All right, so now we have the attack rate. So now if FOV dot visible target is not equal to null, and the player dot get component player movement, right? So if the visible target is a player, then we are going to do basically we're just going to do damage to it, right? So if we're going to use this fancy if time elapsed script. So if controller dot as time elapsed. So if this is true, and we give the duration of the controller enemy stats attack rate. So if it's hit the attack rate, right, then we will do controller shoot, and then shoot player. The damage is what is it? Controller dot enemy stats damage, right? And the player would be controller dot target dot get component health. Right, so we have the target, we have the what's it called? You get it. We have the health script. So now we just gotta pop it in here. So just attack. All the conditionals are popped in here, just so clean like that. All right, so now we'll create another asset menu. So create asset menu, menu name, AI / actions / attack. And hopefully it pops up. If it doesn't, I'll call it attacks and attack, whatever. Technical difficulties here. It's there. All right, so now we call it attack action. It's really that simple to create these actions. All right, so now we have an attack action. So what we want to do is, in our states, since when we're chasing, we can also add another action. We'll put the attack action here. So now we have chase and attack while you see this guy, right? So let's go look at our player here. We can see our health. And if we run into this guy's view, you should see our health slowly dwindle away here. 66, 32, dead. And yeah, now we're dead, so we can't move. That's cool. It destroys the script, the player movement script. So that works. The attack action works. Everything's working very well right now. So we're going to do one more thing to kind of put the full cycle in this AI state machine, at least for this one. So we're going to create another state that is like not enemy stats. Go back here. So we're going to create another state that is like a search for the target state. So let's just call it search. And so this one wouldn't have any actions. Let's make it yellow. All right. This one won't have any actions, but it's going to have a transition that we don't have yet. So what we want to do is create another transition, another decision here. We'll call it visible target decision. Okay. And then we'll say, well, whatever, is target visible. I put visible target, same thing. All right, so what we want to do is get it from decision, delete this. Remember, decision's all bool, so it's a little different, but basically we want to private bool is target visible, right? And we'll do state controller. Okay, so now we have is target visible. We want to see if basically field of view, right? FOV equals oh no, okay, we already have the target visible. This is just rotating, like searching, right? This is just searching. So basically we want to, if we switch to this mode, then we're going to be searching for the target. So we're going to take the controller, we're going to transform.rotate. We're going to basically, this one's just going to do it in circles. So we're going to do controller.search, controller.enemystats.searching turn speed, which is the speed we set before, times time.delta time to avoid any lag or jumpy jitteriness. We're basically just going to spin around on the y-axis, you know, circling, looking for our guy, and if we can't find him, then we'll return to the next state. So basically we'll do this until the time has elapsed. So let's say return controller. This is another use for that exact same, this is how you can see it. You can reuse everything over and over again with this controller. So it has time elapsed, and the time that we'll use is controller.enemystats.search duration, right? So that, I mean, if all is going according to plan, this should return true after the, it will either return true after the time has elapsed or just keep returning false. So once the time has elapsed, it'll go to the next state, whatever we decide. So we'll do return is target visible, we'll pass in the controller. It's going to be checking is target visible, is target visible, is target visible. And I guess this misnomer is target visible is going to be true after time has elapsed, but really it's false. But the true is if it completes this, I guess we'll call this target not visible, right? Target not visible is probably a better name. So target not visible, right? If it's not visible, then we'll just move on to the next decision. So for this, of course, we need to do the same thing as we always do. Menu name AI / decisions / target not visible, right? And that's that simple. Okay. So now let's see, we'll go to decisions, we'll add this decision here. Oh. Target not visibles. I don't know what's going on with this, but that's okay. Okay, target not visibles is good. Just the right thing here. All right, so now it should work there. And all right, we'll call it target not visible. All right, oh, decision, right? We want to always keep the naming conventions good. So now in this chase state, if we see them, we want to chase them. If we don't see them, we want to start searching for them, right? And then in the search state, what we want to do is be able to switch between both the chase and the patrol. Like, okay, I'm going to explain. If we see them, so if they're not visible and we go through the whole time, they're still not visible, right? Then we go back to patrol. And remember, remain in state is always going to be the one you want to stay in. So right here it's saying, while we're searching, we never see him. Eventually it turns true. We're going to go to patrol. If we're searching and we do see him, right, then it's true. We're going to go to chase. Still we don't see him. You see, so we have two decisions here we can make. So if all is right here, I think that's really it. That is our controller here. So this is our like state machine. So let's see what happens. Basically, okay, he's chasing us, last known target. Once he goes to our last known position, he's going to spin around a little bit. Okay, he's looking for us, he doesn't see us. And now he's going back to his waypoint. So it works well. And it's not the best animations or anything like that, but he killed me because I ran right next to him. But yeah, I mean, now we're dead, so he's looking for a new one. Can't find a new one, so continue on to his life. So this is a pluggable state machine. Very easy to create different actions, transitions beyond just a patrol action. Really anything for any NPCs, any kind of, I guess you'd call it AI in your games. It's really easy to use. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, leave a comment telling me what you'd like to see next or what you enjoyed about the video or whatever. If you want the full project, like I said, it's on my Patreon. I'll have it uploaded as soon as this video goes up. It should be uploaded. Make sure you subscribe if you want to see more like this. I also do a couple talk videos where I just talk. I've been really busy with my new job and kids, so it's really hard to find time to get everything done. Just thank you. If you could leave a like if you liked it, yeah, have a good day.